This episode contains sensitive content. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Culture Podcast, where we uncover the hidden mechanics of high control groups, their tactics, and their impact. And we speak with the survivors who broke free. My name is Derek, and I'm your host.
My name is Trinity, and I'm also your host. On this podcast, we explore cult life as real people who have lived through the life-changing process of leaving a high control group.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. You know, I once again can't seem to not have Trent on an episode. I'm so glad you're back, Trent. Welcome back, Trent. How are you?
Feels good to be welcomed. I'm doing really well.
I'm enjoying your hat as well.
Yeah, rocking this Fallout swag.
Yeah, you're looking sharp. And of course, we are very excited to have a guest that Trent actually spoke with originally from our TikTok account. Welcome to the podcast, Audrey.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, before we were recording, we were talking about just TikTok in general and how amazing it is, a platform that we at the Culture Pod are still learning. We're still getting accustomed to. But Trent's running the show over there, and I usually run the Instagram account. But yeah, we're really grateful for you kind of putting yourself out there, and that's how we kind of got in touch. So I'm sure we'll kind of share some of that stuff at the end. Your socials and all that stuff. But we're really, really grateful to have you on the pod. So welcome once again.
Thank you.
So you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. And from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Audrey, you've only been out pretty recently.
Yeah, since about June of 2025.
So pretty recently. And then you only now just became a little more social online with your TikTok. Are you also on Instagram?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram too.
Just recently, maybe back in December. Is that when you kind of posted some of your initial stuff?
I think so.
Yeah, so pretty recently. So we always enjoy different perspectives on the account of kind of everyone's kind of lived experience. Not only we'll obviously get into a conversation about your experience growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, but also a little bit about your experience post and kind of the emotions, the feelings, the things that you're going through. So yeah, we're really excited to get into it, and we're very, very appreciative of you to put yourself out there and kind of discuss your lived experience. I think where to begin, Trent?
Well, let's actually start with why you left. So, what were the reasons that you left?
So,
Yeah.
So there's multiple reasons, but I think probably the biggest one was that I know my husband's not a witness, by the way. So one night I was talking to my husband that we were trying to have a baby for a while, and I remember the topic of blood transfusions came up, and I remember my husband Alex was like, if you're giving birth and you're dying, or she's dying, or one of you need blood, I'm not gonna let you guys die. And I'm like, well, but it's how Jehovah wants it, and it's just how it has to be, and you'll see me in paradise, and blah blah blah. And Alex was like, no, do you hear yourself? He's like he's like, no, what? No. And then I would, at that moment I was like, I wasn't like, I didn't know the PMO or POMO or anything like that. I just knew that like I really wanted to stick to Bible standards, and I really wanted to like go through with everything and be correct in everything. And I just remember telling Alex, there's no way, like I would not let you put blood in me. Like I'd feel guilty the rest of my time I'd have to live and whatever. And anyways, I remember, and then I remember around that time we had an assembly, and we're talking about blood, and there were some sisters like on the stage, the platform, and they were like, yeah, this was my experience. I talked to someone on the street, and they said we were murderers, and they said we let our children die. And I just remember sitting in my seat at the assembly thinking, but but you are letting your child, but that is a decision you're taking. You're letting, you're gonna let them, or you're gonna let him or her die, and then you're gonna say, oh no, it's okay, I'll see her or him in paradise. So and then I was thinking about the whole conversation me and Alex had had, and I came home one day and I was like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want our baby to die, like if I ever get pregnant and whatever. And then so the whole blood situation was a really big ordeal. And we had argued about that. And then I had recently traveled to Barranquilla, Colombia, which is where my husband's from. I had traveled there and I was staying at a brother and sister's house. And in the watchtower, there was a study. I think it was early this spring or last spring. It was around March. And the watchtower said couples, married couples, can now do whatever they see fit in the bedroom,
Mm,
and the elders can't say anything about it, and it's between you and them and Jehovah. And I remember being in my seat reading the watchtower, and I was like, what? I was freaking out because the elders had gotten involved in what me and
mm,
Alex would do in bed, and they would give us, their, they can't tell us what to do, but they do tell us what to do. So it was a
yeah.
whole like, it really pissed me off because the whole topic on oral sex and anal and all these different types of, and it's just, I just remember like that being a huge no-no. Like, no, you can't do that because it's porneia, or that's what gay people do, or that's what, and I just remember thinking, so now it's okay?
Yeah.
So wait a second. I was like, so wait, now it's okay. So I remember going to one of the elders and I was like, what? Literally like a couple months ago, I was getting like, how do you say that in English?
Like counseled.
I was getting counseled, yeah, like on what to do and what not to do. And dude, there was just like, I just felt mad every time there was an update. And then I could wear pants. Then I
Yeah.
could wear pants.
Yeah.
I didn't even know where to shop for pants.
Yeah.
I went to Macy's, I went to Goodwill, I went to Walmart, I went to like all these, I went to the mall, I went everywhere, and I was like, "Oh my god, but if I wear pants, like is it going to be too tight? Like is it going to like hug me too much? Is it going to, and I just remember being like, dude, I don't even want to try and wear pants because I feel like I'm going to be scrutinized at some point."
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you hear on the pants thing, you hear of some congregations where some congregations are like, "Yeah, we're not doing that. Still dresses." It's like,
yes.
but no, this is
Yeah.
from God. This is from the governing body. This is from the leadership.
Yeah.
You can't like pick and choose, but you can see little sects of groups that no, like they're picking and choosing. Like they will still shun you or make you feel weird if you wear pants. I did
Yeah.
have a couple of threads to pull on with what you said when you were talking about the blood. It made me think of how I would parrot the things they told me to say. Um, and now the farther away I've got it, I can see that those thoughts were not my own. I could see the implanted arguments that I would give to someone on the street as to why I did not take blood.
Mhm.
And my argument was always, well, I'd rather die now and have this kind of temporary death now, and then have the chance to live forever. Um, so it's like I'd rather do this thing now and block the blood, knowing that I'll then wake up in the paradise. Um, and it's like, but now I think of, gosh, I'm so glad I didn't have someone close to me or this happened to me where I chose that choice and then never woke up potentially, and never got to live the full life. It's so sad to think of all the people, that have died for the blood conversation. Um, I don't know. That's just one thing. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Trent, because I have one more thread to pull as well.
I mean, the no blood topic has been a classic reason that JWs get hate
Yeah.
for a long time, you know? And it's funny because I even still have thoughts about my blood being sacred. You know, they teach you that like your blood is sacred and like it's yours and like it's not supposed to
Yeah.
be shared. They had all these scriptures, so yeah, it's kind of a weird, very specific thing that they do that really affects lives. It's not just like a belief.
And that one really really hit you, Audrey, that this was now something that I don't know, triggered your internal thoughts to go like, wait a minute. And the way I heard it, correct me if I'm wrong, it was because of your child, that this was
Yeah.
starting to be something different in your mind now that you were thinking about having a child.
Yeah, I wasn't pregnant at the time, but I just remember thinking like I don't want to. I would I would didn't I would tell my husband no, but in my mind I'm like, "Yes, don't let me die, save me." Like
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing I thought was, when you were talking about the pornea and the things, in the
Mhm.
bedroom,
Mhm.
it's so weird for me to think about now how openly we're discussing our private lives with these
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
These old men that
Yeah.
are painters and window washers and construction guys, and
Mhm.
and then we had this indoctrination, this training to go like, oh, I feel bad, or I feel shame, or I feel like I need to go talk to them about this. And then they're in our lives and they're
Yeah.
telling us, what we can and can't do in our private bedrooms. Now, this was a topic that you touched on, so I do want to kind of follow up on that. Were there any specific things that you wanted to address with this topic that was really kind of triggering and kind of bothered you?
About the bedroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the when I got married, we got married really early. I was 18, he was 22, and we were 8 years strong, just past our anniversary.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I just remember when we first got married, I had never ever I'd never watched porn in my whole life. I mean, I'm telling you, man, I was a goody two shoes. I
Straight
was trying to do
laced.
everything. And I just remember like I just remember the night of my wedding night. I was like, "So what do we do?" I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
"So what do we do?" And he was like, "What do you mean? What do we do?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't.
yeah,
I've never done this, but I never even kissed a boy before."
yeah.
So I just remember I was like, "I don't, dude. I'm, I don't know." And he's like, "Well, I don't know what to do either." And so I just remember like it just being so awkward. And then I
Yeah.
remember like in my Bible, and like later on whenever, because I was not I was inactive
Mhm.
for a little bit, and I remember whenever I came back they put me on a Bible study with a sister, and I remember talking to her. I was like, "Hey, how do I never had really the talk about sex from my parents, like, can we do this and can we do that?" And I remember her saying, you can do what your conscience allows you to do as long as you guys don't, violate each other. Like if you're okay with it and he's okay with it, you can do it. And I remember thinking, okay. And then I remember asking that exact same question to some other trusted other sister, and they were like, she goes, "Oh yeah, oral sex is the best sex you'll ever have, but you can't have it." And I was like,
What? Wow.
"What?" I was like, "Why would you tell me that?" Then I was like, "What the heck, man?" Like, and I
Like,
just
how would she
remember,
know?
like, how would she know? And she was like, "Before me and him were serious in the truth, we used to have it every day." Like I'm like, dude, what
Wow.
the heck? And he was, and yeah, but as soon as we got serious with Jehovah, we stopped doing it. And I remember like in that conversation, my husband was there and Alex was severely uncomfortable. And I
Sure.
remember after that he was like, "How do you witnesses just like randomly talk about the most intimate things ever, and like you guys are just a okay doing it?" And I was
Well,
like,
one, in my mind, it's we randomly talk about this stuff again, where it's like older men, whatever, older sisters, and they also talk about it so like they say the terms like, we'll have talks, the whole auditorium's full of, everyone of all ages, young kids, and the
"Mm-hmm.
talks about masturbation.
Oh my."
And I
Yeah.
remember my dad famously gave a talk. This was like when I was really young. I was probably, I don't know, 10 or younger. And
Yeah.
he had a talk. And instead of saying masturbation, he said, for the rest of the talk, we'll just call it the M word. Um,
Ugh.
but he actually got canceled on it, that he should have just said the word.
Huh.
And it's just like, okay, it was really
Wow.
weird. But yeah, and then but we're also like not fully trained. They don't really go into depth about not only our bodies, but really how to carry ourselves and handle ourselves in life. And I think that's one of the shames. Um, Now there's some conflictions, probably no doubt for you, Audrey, because growing up with an unbeliever, or kind of being married to an unbeliever, he probably, and you said his name was Alex.
Alexander, yeah.
Yeah, he probably brings a lot of, I don't know, different conversations to the table that normally maybe a married brother would do. What's that kind of dynamic like when you were kind of younger and, kind of as you grow to now?
You know what? Whenever my husband was grown in a household where there was no religion. So Alex is I think it's they call it a nihilist, a person that's like, okay, the world
Yeah.
is how it is. You be your best self, and you die. That's it. And whenever I got married to him, he knew that I was a Jehovah's Witness, and he and I was like, I really shouldn't be marrying you, but I love you anyways, and I don't really want this to get involved in our marriage. But of course, that's like, it's at some point it's gonna be a topic that we have to talk
Yeah.
about in the marriage because it affects me. But I remember I was inactive for a little bit, and then when we moved to Colombia, I told him, I was like, hey, you know what? You live around a lot of witnesses. Like in his neighborhood, there were at least 7 houses that were witnesses. And I remember used to like walking by the houses and seeing jw.org and hearing Kingdom Melodies. And so I told Alex, I was like, hey, I want you to find me a Kingdom Hall because my conscience is bothering me and I feel like
Yeah.
I need to go back. And he found the Kingdom Hall and he went for a couple, like probably like 5 meetings, because he just wanted to see like what I was getting involved in, like what is it really, what is it like, how is it being a witness and all this stuff. So he never actually gave an opinion. Like, my husband was very, very respectful, never gave an opinion unless I asked him for it, would help me go to meetings, pick me up from meetings and all this stuff. And on occasion, because he was studying at the university while I was going,
Mhm.
so on occasion, if he didn't have class the next day or something, he'd go with me. And there are just some witness people that are like, God, they're just great people, man. They're just
Mhm.
nice and they're just
Oh
great
yeah.
and fun to hang out with. And you're just like, man, I don't know if I'd ever find this out in the world. Like,
Yeah.
really nice, genuine people. And they'd invite us over. And we'd, after every Sunday meeting, we'd go and have, bread and coffee and all this stuff. So Alex was like, hey, these people are pretty nice. I mean, I don't really think I have to worry about Audrey. But when I would come home, like disturbed from a meeting, like no blood, or be careful what you do in bed or whatever. And Alex would be like, why are you coming home like this? Like, why are you so irritated? And I'm like, you don't understand. You'll never understand. You're not a witness. You don't understand the pressure that I have. Like, I have
Yeah.
to be perfect all the time. I have Jehovah's reputation on my back 24/7. And Alex would be like, chill out, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you're really like getting riled up. But you really, like, if you're not a witness, you really don't understand the amount of pressure we're under. I
No,
mean,
I
like,
agree.
to
I
be honest.
agree. Like I talk about this a lot. Like you go to meetings or you read these articles, and it's a constant attack on kind of your character and your
Yeah.
foundation.
Yeah.
Where if you don't align, you might want to do something, and then just lo and behold, there's a talk, and it's about that thing that maybe you're internally struggling with or you don't fully align with. And so it just kind of whips you back into shape. And it's an internal struggle and a battle to be like, oh man, I can't watch rated R movies, or oh, I can't really associate with people at work. They're bad association. It's like it's all these in my mind now very pedestrian things. These very just like live your life, do whatever. You're not hurting anyone. But to witnesses, all of these things they just keep adding up to this pressure.
Yeah.
Um, and it's weird because that there's high standards, it's very pressured, but then as you're inactive you had stated oh, your conscience was bothering you. You felt inclined that you wanted to go back.
Mhm.
So it's a constant pull
Yeah.
internally of like, I'm too far away from this organization. I need to go back. And then you get in, and it's so stressful. I wanted to touch on, though, if you could, when someone says my conscience was bothering you, uh, at that time, could you pinpoint what it was that was bothering your conscience as to why you felt you needed to go back?
Yeah, I can. And actually this is whenever I did go back when I was active again, people were like, "Oh, what made you come back to Jehovah?" And I would give this story and they were like, "Wow, that's great. You know, the big
Yeah.
sign." And now it's like the complete opposite. Now I know exactly what happened.
Okay. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay.
So what happened was my husband, okay, we were all living in his that's a cultural thing, by the way. It's normal to live with your parents while you're studying in the university and everything. So I remember we were all living together. Um, and I remember, like I said, in his little neighborhood, it's called a conjunto, which is like it's like a neighborhood, that's very enclosed. So I remember I'd go like on walks and take my dog out. And I remember thinking at that time there's like what, 7 million, 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses around the world.
Mhm.
And I just remember thinking like, what a coincidence that we're in just like these 200 houses. There's like 5 to 6 different witnesses, and I'm passing along, and I can hear all these
Ah,
kingdom melodies, and I can see JW, like all Sophia and Caleb videos like on the TV, and I would just think to myself, man, what is going on? Like, I'm not even in the States that I run into this many witnesses. And then I would go to the grocery store, and lo and behold, there'd be some witnesses doing cart witnessing right in front of like
wow.
the little store I'd go to. And I just pass by and I just be like, you know,
Yeah.
trying to ignore them.
Yeah.
But I'd see that and I'd be like, huh, what a coincidence. And that what a
Sure.
coincidence was like, maybe that's my conscience. Maybe I see it, I'm seeing it all the time more than usual. Maybe this is the sign that I need to go back. And also, you said something earlier, I don't remember what it was, but I didn't like it's like even if I really wanted to create or establish a friendship with someone worldly, I wouldn't know how to and I wouldn't know where to start because I was always conditioned to judge people.
Yeah.
And so it was like, well, I'm not gonna find friends in the world that are
Yeah.
gonna screw me over, so I might as well just go back to what I know. So it was like trauma, like abuse trauma, and having to come back to it because that's basically all I know.
Yeah.
And I was scared to have to like deal with the real world. And then all those coincidences happened, and I thought it was Jehovah shining a light down on me, and then yeah, so that's what happened.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like the way our programming what is as an early age is how we frame what we see. We look for things to either prove or counteract our beliefs. And so like at that time, it's like you weren't fully out, so like you saw
Mhm.
these things and made that connection. And it's like, dude, I was inactive too. And I had a very similar, it's like I'm living my life, I'm doing my thing, but my conscience was bothered. I needed to go back. I still think about that sometimes, like, man, if I just would have stayed out in my 20s, instead of waiting till almost 40 to leave. Um, but I don't know. It's just our programming. It's very unfortunate, but thankfully, you're out now with us, so we're very appreciative of that. But I am curious too. How was your life inside the congregation at this time? You said that people did treat you well. Was there a little bit like, oh, we wish you were here with your husband? You're kind of by yourself. What were the dynamics of being in the congregation at that time? And I assume you're baptized at this time.
Oh yeah, I was baptized at 13.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
this moment I'm 18, almost 19, and so it was very different the way I was treated, like both in the States and over there, like because of the culture. I think it's more cultural, but the Latino culture, it was like, oh, we're so happy you're here, and then they'd notice my ring, and they'd be like, oh, you're married. Where's your husband? oh, my husband's not a witness, and then you just get like these like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," like all
The
this
side
fake
eye.
pity, and I
Yeah.
was like, "No, my husband's great, actually. I don't regret at all marrying him." "Oh, but he's not yeah, yeah, but he's a great guy. I mean, he's better than like 99% of the men that I've that I've
Oh
known
yeah.
in this organization, in
Yep.
this cult." So, I remember like feeling like them having a lot of pity on me, and well, if he doesn't ever take you to the meeting or opposes, we'll pick you up and we'll drop you off and blah blah blah. And then when Alex would come, I remember, okay, this is a very odd sensation. It's a very odd thing that happens. When I would go alone, yeah, some sisters would like say hi to me in Colombia, and that was it. The day that Alex would come with me, it was like flies to honey. Like
Oh yeah.
all of a sudden it was like,
The love
"Oh,
bombing.
you're Alexander, you're Audrey's husband. Oh, Audrey's so nice. Audrey's such a lovely sister. Are you gonna study the Bible? Are you gonna be blah blah blah?" And I remember like Alex leaving the meeting and like, "Oh my gosh, are they like this all the time?" I'm like, "No, like only one or two come to say hi to me. Like this is not normal."
It
And
is. Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, they're just trying to sell me something. That's why they're like that."
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I as I was starting to wake up towards the end, I remember being part of love bombing scenarios where, elders or ministerial servants or whatever would approach me and be like, "Hey, that person like just walked in. Go say hi to him." Go talk with them. Maybe we were a similar age or something. They just targeted me to target him and sent me off to go just do their bidding and love bomb. And it's just like, dude, I don't. It's all fake. Like I don't. I now I see it now for what it is, but and then I reflect back and it's like, dude, that stuff, that should happen all the time. I don't know what it is.
I haven't thought about that in forever, but I remember very similar things. And it's like every meeting, especially if you're like
Hmm.
reaching out, they have you do those kind of like little maneuvery, like manipulation things, like check in with so and so, ask them to go out and service with you or whatever.
Yeah, it's so fake. I don't know what it is about. They see like fresh meat, you know? They see someone new
Yeah.
like join or come to the hall, like, we all saw it too at like memorials.
Oh
It's like,
my
oh, like,
god.
the families here that aren't witnesses, like go talk to them. For those that are listening that aren't witnesses, memorial would be like a special once per year meeting that would, be about Jesus' death and, passing the blood and the wine, the sacrament. But it would be such a special occasion that so many other people wouldn't join or be at the meeting hall that that was, boy, that was the time for love bombing.
Yeah, but it's the biggest thing for the year, and like they have campaigns for months beforehand. And essentially it's communion. They just do it once a
Yeah,
year, and only people who have been anointed by God to be in the 144,000 partake.
it's
And
so
it's
much
it's a
random.
very yeah, it's a very interesting thing.
So you are starting to. So how long were you in the congregation in, you said Colombia, where you're with Alex, you're going, he's not going. How long is this time frame until you start to kind of start waking up? What's that kind of era?
So this was so we got married here and then left to Colombia and we lived there for 4 years and a half. Nothing happened. I mean, I was going strong. I mean, I was
Mm,
like uh not regular pioneering, auxiliary
Auxiliary.
auxiliary.
pioneering. I was strong. It was like when we moved to the States. It was when we moved here and we've been here for about 3 years now. And it was just like in 2025 where like a lot of things were happening in my own hall, and I mentioned in one of my TikToks that I've been to about 10 different kingdom halls in my whole life. So, I've been and seen and went through a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah. They're not all the
Um,
same.
no, no, and let me tell you, each kingdom hall has their own set of rules.
Yep.
And, yeah, there was just man, there was just so much, like, recently, along with, like, all the blood and, the pregnancy and along with that topic, there was one thing that really, really, like, infuriated me. And I was on the elder I would call the elders and be like, "What have you done about the situation? I wanna know. Give me an update now." And I remember, like, I would be so mad because this, the situation occurred where an elder and I don't care about race, but I have to be specific in race in this situation because it's important. So this elder, he's black. His wife is white. She's kind of chunky. Very nice, sweet lady. I mean, just super nice. And I remember just thinking, oh, this is such a cute couple, whatever. And I was on my Instagram one day and on my Facebook, I had like all my friends in the witnesses, like in my Kingdom Hall, I had a lot of friends. And I remember like there was a new feature on Instagram where like if you're swiping through videos, you can see who liked that video.
Mm,
And I remember I was like swiping and swiping. I remember I saw this video of like a young, like younger black girl, like 16, 17, probably not even an adult,
yeah.
with like this super tight black dress and like showing breasts and like like and the song is like saying bitch, pussy, fuck, like all these words, and I'm like,
Yeah.
who the hell am I following that like this
Not becoming of
video?
a Christian.
I know, and I'm like, who is it? Because I was like super iffy. Like I only had like 40 followers. Like
You're like,
it was
how did
like,
this get into my
yeah,
feed?
I know, because the damn sure ain't me looking at it. So I was looking at like, what is going on? And it's this guy. It's this black brother, and I'm thinking to
Uh,
myself, what? Like I was like, this can't be real. So like I took a screenshot of that, and then I was like, how how is this getting onto his feed that
yeah.
he could say, oh, I accidentally liked it, but how is it getting on your algorithm? And so I went to his Instagram and I was like, who are you following? So like it took me
Yeah.
like forever. This dude has like 2,000 followers, so I was like going through and going through, and lo and behold, there's like freaking porn accounts that he's following.
Oh man.
And I was like, oh shit. I was like, this is like this I'm about to like I'm about to just ruin this guy's whole
Yeah,
career.
you're about to
Yeah.
uncover a lot.
So I remember
Was it an
thinking,
older brother? Like, did he not know how Instagram works?
no, 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 no. He's not old. I
Oh,
think they're in their 40s. They're not old.
no, that ain't
And
old. He should know better.
of course. And I remember thinking, this man is I mean, you can get married to whoever you want. I don't pink, purple, yellow, I don't care. But this man is married. He's liking all these videos with all these really, beautiful black women. And then he's married to a white woman, bigger, like
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
just remember thinking, what an asshole. Like what a horrible what a I couldn't even put like, man, if I ever caught my husband, I'd be in flames. But I just remember thinking, this is a bunch of BS. Like I got to go on Facebook. And I'm on Facebook like looking at like who he's friends with, like 2,000 people again, and like, oh nice, these beautiful black women just with their tits out and their ass out, and I'm just thinking like, dude, how has nobody found out about this? Like how?
You turn
And
him in?
of course I did. And I remember I was telling Alex. I was like, "Alex, this you got I mean, can you?" And Alex was like, is it like, what are you going to do about it? I'm like, what do you mean? I got to go to the elders. I got to bring this to light. I got to Jehovah has helped me seeing
Yeah,
the ridiculous, just the
yeah.
corruptness of this and Alex is like, no, you're not. You're not going to do that. And I was like, yes, I am. And he was like, Audrey, that is none of your business. He is a married man. We're in the States where people got guns and people are crazy, and you don't know what he's capable of doing. He knows where you live. He's an elder. They have our address. He knows, you're in the same Kingdom Hall. I don't go with you to all these Kingdom Hall meetings. So at any given point, anything can happen. So why are you going to involve yourself in another person's marriage? And I just remember thinking, justice, man. Justice has to be served. I can't watch this man get up on the
Yeah.
platform, give a talk, and then
It's
go and do this
hypocrisy.
shit at his house. I
Yeah.
can't do that. And I remember Alex telling me, okay, let's see how this ends for you. And I said, I don't care. I'm Jehovah's got my back and blah 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 and I'm doing it. So I immediately like it was like I think it was late at night and I like phoned two of the elders. I was like, hey, both of you guys, hey, I got proof and you know, and I remember I was so like I am right now, like
Animated.
yeah, I was like really intense
Yeah.
and I was like, "What are you guys gonna do about this? I mean, this is it can't just can't be." And blah and I remember the elders were like, "Yeah, Audrey, you know, we really appreciate you coming towards us with such a sensitive subject, and we realize that, you know, it's such a shame, such a shame that." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know it's a shame. What are you gonna do about it?" Like, I remember like, what's gonna be done?
Yeah.
Because if I'm going out to field service with his wife, it's gonna be hard for me to bite my tongue and not tell her what her husband's doing on the side.
Well, and again, we also talked about such strict standards,
Ugh,
Yeah.
and especially for someone who's a leader of the congregation, an elder, you're darn sure that he's going to point his finger down to every one of his members of his flock, and say, "Hey, you need to meet these strict standards." So I can understand the frustration, seeing that stuff. In addition to just the humanity, for his wife's sake, where it's like she's clueless.
yeah.
I was gonna say that could be a fireable offense for an elder or a ministerial servant. Like
Mhm.
finding out that you're looking at stuff like that, that your social media is full of that. That's a fireable offense. They'll step you right down.
Well, and the reason I touched this topic now is because just a month before I caught this brat doing all that, like just a month before, we had a whole watchtower discussion. It was a whole watchtower discussion on men, and it was brothers. You cannot have a reputation of a drunkard. You cannot have a reputation of being inappropriate with minors. You cannot have a reputation of blah blah. I remember reading and studying this crap, and I remember this happening a month after, and I was like, we just had a watchtower, and this guy is just like lit. He's dude. He's just living it up, both the best of the both worlds. And then I remember I went to the meeting, and I was putting pressure on the elders, and I was like, did you guys do something about this? What's going to be done? And I remember they were like, well, we have to, you know what the protocol is, you have to, you're the person that found this, you should go up to him and talk to him, not alone, maybe like a meeting or and I remember thinking to myself, what? You want me? Like this dude is huge and big. And you want me, a tiny little twig, to go up to this guy and be like, hey, I saw what you're doing
Well, you do
when
have
you're
to meet
not with
your
your wife.
accuser.
Right, it's like, why are you gonna put me in that situation? And I remember Alex telling me, "No, you are not gonna do that. You are
Yeah.
not gonna go to this guy." I don't know why they're like putting you in danger. So then I remember calling back the elders and I was like, "I'm sorry, but neither me or Alex feel comfortable with the advice you gave us." And then they were like, "Okay, we'll talk to him." Get this. Whew, I'm out of breath. They talked to him. They talked to him. And I remember the next Sunday, like 3 Sundays later, because it's for some reason the crap, like they don't do things quickly. It just takes forever
Yeah.
for everything to happen. And I remember, and they were like, and one of the elders that should not have told me this, but I think because I had a really good relationship, he pulled me to the side. He was like, hey, I just want to let you know that he's actually transferring to a different kingdom hall next week. And I
That's the
remember
move.
thinking, son of a bitch. I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, and you're just gonna let it happen? And he's like, well, there's nothing we can do. I was like, dude, this is just
Well, that's the
BS.
move. I can't say for sure that that's in this situation, but that's often what I've seen
Ugh.
is when these transgressions or these things happen, they just move that elder out of that hall and put him in a different hall. And other than that, adjustment to his life's routine and kind of having to meet new people, they just get a little slap on the wrist. They don't really get in trouble. Like Trent said, they don't really get the fireable offense. They just move them along, or he decides, oh, I'll just move halls, and it's like, yeah, there's no justice. So, other than him moving halls, did anything happen with him?
No, dude, they're fine. They're in another hall, and as soon as that happened, I stopped going because I just couldn't deal with the hypocrisy anymore. And
I was gonna ask you that. So that's a notch, but
yeah,
that was the notch. That was kind of the breaking point.
yeah, because I, because you know, I know for a fact that, yeah, it's in my personality. I am very judgmental, but I feel like that's actually protection for me. um Judging circumstances and people and how their way of thinking and whatnot. But I remember people, well, you shouldn't judge, that's something that you need to work on. We're not Jehovah. Jehovah didn't deem us as judges. And I remember just thinking, like, dude, it's like these witnesses are like these robots that, like, they put their okay. It's like they don't think for themselves.
Hmm.
Like, anytime I ever try to stand out, or not stand out, but, like, be different in a way of thinking, or thinking, "Hey, what if this happens, or this could possibly happen, or what if this prophecy means this?" And I just remember them thinking, "No, no, no, no. It's exactly what the governing body says, or it's exactly as the elder." And then only if they ever change their way of thinking, it's like, "Oh yeah, Audrey, you were right."
Yeah.
And I just remember, I'm like, dude, no. And everybody's like, don't focus on people's imperfections. Don't look at the straw in his eye if you've got, like, a whole thing in your own eye. That scripture. And
Well, one of the things I was thinking is it's a weird paradox because, in one sense, they say not to be judgmental,
yeah.
but I genuinely believe that the witnesses, the way we were raised, it was all judgment.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's very judgmental, all of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you don't fit into the exact paradigm, that one set of rules and standards, if you look, act, appear different, if you want to, wear, ripped jeans, whatever, you're going to be judged. Uh, and so I always find it really interesting when that kind of comes up, is, and you say that, you're personally judgmental. I believe, that you were trained to be that way, you
Yeah.
know. And another thing that comes up too is the witness. This is my opinion. I like both your takes, but um, a big tattletale culture.
Big tattletale culture.
Like when you were telling me that story, which ultimately was your tipping point, it's like, of course you're gonna tattletale.
Yeah.
It's built into you. Like, you have to tell on someone, and we've all had stories of, like, oh, I got to go tell on myself, or I got to go tell on this other person because they're not meeting the standards. And so that's a kind of another layer to it as well. I'm sure you have similar thoughts, Trent.
Yeah, and earlier I was going to say that the Jehovah's Witnesses, like, they kind of prey on the good-hearted. Like, we talked about our consciences, telling on ourselves. We have a, like, I've always wanted to, like, do good, be good,
Yeah.
like, follow the rules, fit in, all that stuff, which is normal. But yeah, just like I hear so many stories about guilt, shame, about having a strong conscience, telling on ourselves. These are all just traits of really good people that are trying to follow the right way of things.
Lofty standards.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, I don't know if I don't know where you land now, Audrey, but if you're still Christian, the Christ of the New Testament doesn't have all of this extra stuff. His standards aren't as lofty. He's basically just like, love yourself, love your neighbor, be kind. He'd sit with prostitutes and tax collectors and talk with them and be kind with them and be non-judgmental. He'd say, love your enemy. Uh, the lofty standards actually come from, in my opinion, the organization and all that they kind of add to the mix. And so that's where I think it kind of gets really difficult. But I don't know. One thing I was thinking when you were saying that was your final straw, Audrey. Um, I don't know. For me, this is how I felt. So I'm curious your take. That was your final straw, and you left, but you still believed, right? You left, but you still believed. What was that kind of like process of you left because of men? You didn't leave because of God.
I was extremely disappointed in any of the biblical answers anybody was able to give me. Um, I do my best to read my Bible, and I'd read my Bible, I'd like lay down, take time to pray. Man, I mean, my relationship with Jehovah was like it was something else because I had always like these battles in my own mind. And I know, like, if I was a witness, and you'd ask me, "Oh, do you believe in Jehovah?" Yeah, yeah, I could die. I could die tonight, and I know I'd get resurrected tomorrow. And like, as soon as I had this huge disappointment in Jehovah, because I was thinking to myself, if Jehovah's real or God, I don't know, put whatever title you want on it.
Yeah.
If something so powerful in the universe is real, and he actually sees everything, and is seeing kids being raped, and is seeing abuse on older people, and is seeing all this corruption, what is this little test he's gambling with Satan about? What what is this little, my sovereignty, and people will figure out that you're wrong. But in the midst of you doing that, and you permitting that to happen, all these wars had happened, all these people have died, children, like, these horrific things keep happening to Jehovah's people in the organization, in the world. So it was like, you're screwed if you're in, you're screwed if you're out. It was like there's and so I was just very angry at the thought of Jehovah actually existing and seeing everything and not doing anything to stop
Yeah.
it, waiting for that right time
Mhm.
that the angels or Jesus don't even know about. So I just remember, I don't even remember when my last prayer was, but I just remember being so disappointed. I was like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. In my
Yeah.
mind, it's not rational that, you, as the most powerful force, and you see all this crap happening, and you see your organization suffering, and you see kids out in the world suffer, just because kids don't know your name or don't know who you are, it doesn't mean that you just that they should just suffer, that it just didn't never seemed right to me. And there was a watchtower a while ago, and also a talk in Bethel, and I think it was Jeffrey Jackson who did it, and then they were saying, no, you know P- Islamic people, if they, they're really, they're not going to die in the destruction and be forever dead. They have a chance to know Jehovah, and all these other people that's never known Jehovah has a chance. And before, we used to not think that. Before, it was like, you have till the last minute, till we knock on your door, for you to decide whether you want to become a Jehovah's Witness or not. And then all of a sudden they said, no, that's not how it is. Jehovah
Yeah.
is a merciful God. And I remember thinking, I already knew that. If Jehovah's a merciful God, I already knew he wasn't going to kill and destroy all these people. But why is this something that the organization has to explain? I just remember, man, I just remember all these changes. But
It's
that's what I'm mostly mad about, is that the idea that if there is a God and he's not being active in helping us and just letting us suffer to prove a point, I
yeah.
think is very stupid. I think is very stupid. I think religion is just a method to control people.
Yeah.
Whether people want to be spiritual with, whatever god or goddess, or, whatever they have, I think that's great. I think humans in history have actually needed to believe in something, like they've actually always kind of needed a higher power or something.
Yeah.
Some people do, or some people, like my husband, don't care, and it's just like, I don't know why I'm here, why the purpose I'm here, but I'm here, and I'm going to make the best out of it, and if I die tomorrow, I die tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's it. So, yeah, I've
Yeah.
changed my mind a lot.
So for you, from what I just heard you say, you did leave the men and the organization, but you did also leave your God.
Yeah, I don't even know what the point of serving something that has all these promises and all these things, but isn't active, like, in my life now. Like,
Yeah.
you can promise me that by the time I'm 80, I'll be in a mansion and I'll have all this money and wealth. But
Yeah.
like from here to me being 80, what are like what are you going to help me? Like what's the
Yeah.
point of, like I want help now. Like I want okay, I just actually made a TikTok about this
Yeah.
because this is really important to me. I got a scholarship. I was homeschooled in high school and I got a scholarship, and I really wanted to study psychology and
Yeah.
criminology, and because I think just helping people mentally is so important. And I remember my in-laws were like, "Hey, you've probably lost your scholarship now. It's been a couple years. We can pay for your university. We can help you." And I remember being like, "Holy crap, that'd be amazing. Thanks." And I remember I went to the university. I decided that I wanted to study that, and I was signing up for classes. And I went to the elder, like there was an assembly, and I went to the elder at the assembly, and I was like, "Hey, brother, so and so, guess what? I'm gonna start helping people, and I want to be a psychologist, and I'm gonna study this." And I remember he was like, "For what? What are you gonna? Jehovah's gonna help all those people in the future. Why are you gonna waste your time doing that now if God can do that later?" And I remember thinking, because people need help now, because crap is happening now. I mean, I know there's gonna be a solution later, but we need a solution now too. And they just ruined everything and
Mm.
didn't tell me, but basically told me no. And if I do that, there'll be consequences. So I didn't study. But like, that's the thing is like, I want to help people now. Like, why is it that Jehovah can't help now? We already know through all these world wars that if the whole biblical history is true, then Satan sucks at ruling. He sucks. It's obvious that he's not the one that's supposed to rule. It's supposed to be Jehovah, and he's still letting all this crap happen. So it just never made sense to. It's like uh, I want to help people now. I wanted Jehovah to help and intervene now. I don't know what the point of waiting of this whole sovereignty thing is. I just didn't understand. So
I think the tragedy that happens with the non-schooling and the intense control, and this is why I echo your sentiment that it's a cult, um, or at least a group with very high control tendencies,
mhm.
um, is they take away your agency, and they take away your own kind of internal path of what you want to do in life. Often they don't even allow you to get to that mental point where you can create that path. And it's always such a tragedy and a shame when I hear of anyone that is presented with an opportunity like yourself, where you like have this passion to do this thing and want to help people. And you think of churches or religious organizations, like, of course we're helping people. That's what Jesus taught. And then you go like, "Oh, I want to help people." And they're like, "No. The the only help that you can do is to study the Watchtower and Awake and go preach door to door." And it's just like, what are we doing here, man? It always was backward to me, and only the more I got out and got farther away from it did I just go like, dude, I never believed in that. I always believed in follow your path, follow your journey, be the artist you want to be, create the music you want to create. Like in Trent's example, that's what he wanted to do. Um, go to school. I'm going back to school now, at my age, trying to accomplish that. And it's such a shame when like I hear of anyone that was taken away from. So I'm so sorry to hear that. But it's also like, back to like, I mean, it's no easy feat you were a true believer. You believed in God, and now it kind of seems like you're in a completely different mental space where you don't maybe believe in God, where you say you're agnostic.
I don't I just hate religion in general. I hate how they take advantage of good people, and I just don't. I just feel like if there is a God, then it's an evil God because he sees everything and doesn't do anything. So I mean, I'm not like it's not like I don't believe. I mean, if there is a God, okay, there's a God. Is he proactive in helping humans? No. So it's basically like if there is one, I'm not really interested in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was your process of officially leaving? So you did leave. Did you get disfellowship? Did you get announced? Did you just fade away? What was that process like?
No, I had a group text of the overseer in my hall plus two elders, and I said, "Hey, uh, it was a very short text. I was like, I really like you guys. You guys have, been very good friends with me, giving me a lot of advice. But I just want to let you guys know I no longer have an interest of being a witness anymore." And in the text, I said, I highly doubt it matters the reason why I'm leaving,
Yeah.
but I just want to let you guys know that I'm leaving. And I thought that they would kind of leave it alone there.
Mm-mm.
And I remember like receiving a phone call, and
They even want to control your exit.
I remember being like, man, I don't want to have this talk with you. I'm on the verge of tears. I'm crying. Like, this is a very hard. This is like the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life. And the elder was like, calm down. I know, but why? I mean, do you really want to do your exit like that, or can we meet? I mean, I don't want this to just be the last time we ever hear or see you again. And I'm like, fine. All right, let's meet at my house. And that was the plan. These three brothers were going to come to my house, with me and Alex here, and I was going to explain to them why I wanted to leave. And then I got a phone call then I had a phone call like 2 days later like, "Hey Audrey, I'm sorry to bother you, but can you mind if we just do this at the hall?" And I
Yeah.
remember saying, "I actually do mind.
Yeah.
I have a lot of anxiety going inside of those two doors, and it causes a lot of anxiety for me." And they were like, "I know, but you mind just doing it this last time?" And I was like, if that's the only way for you guys to like actually understand my decision, fine. Me and Alex will go.
Mm.
I'm not gonna go and dress up clothes. I'm just gonna go in my normal jeans or whatever. Okay, that's fine. So then we went, and I had a whole whiteboard, and I'm talking
Yeah.
huge whiteboard. And it was like spider webs. It was like this: the blood is connected to this, and the scripture's connected to this, and the sexual assault is connected to this. And like, I remember I had a whole thing, and I had notebooks, and I had screenshots, and I was prepared. I was like,
Yeah.
these guys are gonna understand, because I'm gonna make them understand why I'm leaving. And I did. And for 4 hours,
Oof.
Wow.
I completely gave very detailed, oriented everything, and showed them text and screenshot. I even showed them their own elders book. I was showing them parts, that I didn't agree with that was in that book. Like, and my husband was giving his thoughts and opinion. Like, we had scriptures. We were ready. And I just remember at the end of the meeting, I remember one part of the meeting. Uh, one of the elders, that was a primary elder that was talking. The other two kind of just seemed like they were just in it because they were interested in what our battle was, like what the conversation would be like. And I remember the main elder would he told Alex, he goes, you know, the governing body, there that is Jehovah's way to guide. I mean, and and Alex goes, he go, the elder goes, "How do you know that the governing body isn't from Jehovah, or the Holy Spirit, all that from Jehovah?" And I remember my husband saying, "How do you know?"
Yeah.
And it was and then it was just like,
Yeah.
it was like a whole moment of silence. And then I remember the elder replied with, "You just have to have faith." And
Yeah.
and Alex goes, "I'm sorry, I just don't have faith in something that I don't see. The word governing body is not in the not in the Bible." And so there were moments that were very intense, very
Yeah.
respectful. We were never disrespectful, but I assured these brothers that I wanted to leave because I've been controlled to think a certain way all my life.
Yeah.
I've been told that the world is nasty and horrible and Satan's going to chew me up and spit me out. And I told these elders, I want to celebrate my first birthday. I want to celebrate Christmas. I want to celebrate Halloween. And I just want to see, I want to test this out. I want to, at 25 years old, test this theory that if I throw myself in the world and forget about Jehovah and stop praying and stop being a religious person, how my life will be. And I told them, I said, if at the end of me doing this, if in 1 or 2 years I'm sad and depressed and I really feel like I'm screwed up, I will call you. I will call you guys so fast and say, "Hey, I want to come back. I don't want to be disfellowshipped anymore." But if I feel good in my decision, then you won't hear from me again. If I ever see you at Walmart or Schnucks or whatever, I'll say hi to you guys because I really like you guys. You're great people. I'm not going to ignore you. If you choose to ignore me, that's on you and you'd make me feel crappy, but I like you guys. I just want to try and live a different way. And I remember at the end of this whole meeting, they were crying. These
Hmm.
guys were crying. Like these guys, like they really did care about me and I went through a lot of crap as a kid, so they were like they really were like, "Okay." And they weren't supposed to pray for me, but they did at the end. And then we all gave each other hugs, and that was it. It was a very intense 4-hour meeting.
I've never heard of anything like that before. That's really amazing, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I think you said it earlier. Like there is some good people in the organization.
Yeah.
Um, there's no one archetype of person where it's just like, oh, everyone's like this. There are people that love being part of an organization. It works for them, their whole family, their extended family, their friends. They're so happy, and I'm happy for them. But for every one of those people, there's also many people that it just doesn't fit, man. It just does not seem right. There's abuse, there's trauma, there's just problem after problem. And it's like you're born into an organization of control, and you just don't want to be controlled anymore. You just want to be free to make your own decisions, whether they're good or bad. And it seems like you're at that point now. So you were officially announced.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
next Tuesday they had, well, they don't say disfellowshipped anymore.
Yeah.
So they were like, we just want to let everybody know that Audrey's no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I remember I was like, this is my whole life. I mean, this has literally been my whole life. So I told Alex, Alex was like, do you want to be connected to that meeting? Like, do you want to be part of it? I was like, yeah, I want to. I want to officially hear those words and I want to make sure it's true. And if I screwed up and I made a mistake, I'll go back. I'm a very genuine, honest person. If I screwed up, I screwed up and I'll be back. But let me make my screw ups and let me see the world for myself instead of you trying to like make me like think a certain way. I want to venture out. I want to see what it's like. And
Yeah.
the elders, I mean, at least the elders that I had to deal with, they understood and they were like, "Hey, go for it. And we'll be here if you ever want to come back." I was like, "I appreciate it. Thanks."
So how long ago was that announcement?
That was in June of last year.
So since that time, what have you discovered about the world?
Uh, you know, I'd like to reframe that question and actually ask,
Mhm.
what have I discovered about myself?
Sure.
Because I'll answer both though.
Yeah.
What have I discovered about the world? Well, um, I discovered that, yeah, there are a lot of shitty people in the world. A lot of people that do take advantage of you and spit on you. But hey, that also happened to me in the religion, in the cult. There are a lot of really good people, same as there are in a lot of religions. I took a step back, and basically what I did is I grouped Jehovah's Witnesses with all the other religions in the world, and I realized that they all have one thing in common, is that they all think they're right. And they have the truth. So I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to be a religious person. I don't really care for it. Uh, but yeah, there are good and bad everywhere, whether you're a religious person, whether you're just a normal Joe on the corner of the street, like everybody has good and bad So it's not really like this bubble will protect me, Jehovah will it's like, no, it's there's evil everywhere. So, but what did completely like a rock was lifted off of me was that I didn't have to be perfect all the time. Like I could cuss for the first time. And I remember that was a
Oh
very,
yeah.
very weird sensation. I remember being like, fuck. Being
Yeah, yeah,
like,
for sure.
like, am I gonna get struck by lightning? Like I remember I remember being like, oh my God, like Jehovah's probably like, looking down on me. And then I remember like, I could go out and walk, and I wouldn't have to worry about like if someone was walking next to me. Hey, I don't mean to bother you. Have you ever thought of, reading the Bible? All of these like instances where we're programmed to like preach to who's ever riding the bus next to us or whoever like
Hmm.
passes by, like all of those triggers like left my mind, and it was like I can put headphones on and not talk to anybody. Like I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about people talking to me or me talking to anybody or trying to have a presentation ready at all times, or you know, it was like I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have Jehovah's reputation to carry on my back. It was just me. It was just me and the world. And it was just new, people, like someone that was like, I don't know, um ringing the bell for some type of money during Christmas. Like I used to ignore those people. And now it's like, hey, hey, happy holidays. Hey, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. And like my conscience, like it's just so weird. Like all these things that I wasn't allowed to do or I had to like shun. It's like I can be a part of it now and do it now, and it's okay, and I don't get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Have you celebrated a holiday yet?
Yes. My first holiday was Halloween.
Mm.
It's a good one.
And my husband was like, he's more darker skinned, like Caribbean. And I remember he was like, "You're so white. You're like milk. You should be a vampire." And I was like, I was like, okay. So we went to this, I think it's called Spirit Halloween store.
Yep.
And I went in there and I was like, this is so cool. Like it's not like demons, or you could be Peach and Mario, and you could be
Yeah.
like a pirate, and like I just saw all these costumes. I was like, this is so cool. Like I really liked it. So yeah, I do makeup. I really like fashion and makeup and all that. And I remember like I was doing my makeup for the vampire, and my conscience, the cult conscious was getting to me, and it was like, Audrey, a demon's gonna creep inside you, like you're.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so I remember we did it, and I even like went to this little neighborhood, and I remember me and Alex went to Sam's Club, and we bought like a lot of candy, not for us, but to like give to the kids. So I remember a friend of mine was like, hey, there's a lot of kids in our neighborhood. Excuse me. There's a lot of kids in our neighborhood, you guys can give candy to. I was like, okay, this is my first Halloween. I'm excited. But
Oh,
I
great.
went like freaking scary. Like my makeup was scary. And my
Love it.
husband dressed up as like the Black Plague, those big beak,
Oh, like a
Oh,
plague doctor.
Plague Doctor. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I remember these little kids. One was at a door and she was like, hey, come here. And I remember I was like, hi, sweetie. I was like, do you want some candy? And she was like, this kid tried to take my bucket. I was like, no, dude, don't take the bucket. Just take a couple pieces. And I remember her dad came to the door, and the dad was like, what do we say? And the girl was like, thank you. And she had this little like lion suit.
Mm.
And he goes, okay, what are you supposed to say? And she was like, roar. And I just thought to
So
myself,
sweet.
dude, I want to do this with my kid.
Yeah.
I want to friggin', I
Nothing
want
bad happened.
nothing bad happened. And I didn't feel any type of demonic spirit at all. As a matter of fact, it was like the funnest day of my whole life. It was
Yeah.
just so cool. And I love seeing these kids, and I love seeing their reactions. I just remember telling Alex, dude, when we have our kid, I want her to dress up as friggin', I don't know, Nemo or a dinosaur. Like, I want her to have fun. Like, I wish I would have done this as a kid.
That's so great that you'll be able to do that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're gonna have all of those moments with your child, and
I know.
you'll get to you'll get to live vicariously through them a little bit as they grow up and get to do some of these things that you missed out on. Trent's got to experience that as well with his child,
Yeah.
just recently. So he still has kind of his own fun that he gets to have with his kiddo. Um, and obviously, you like psychology, so the stuff's in our brain. The fears in our brain, the what ifs, the demons that are going to get us.
Yeah.
Um, we create those demons, or they're created for us. So you're wiping those away, which I think is really great. Did you have? It sounds like mostly things have been pretty positive since you left, which is great. Did you
uh,
have any negatives? Anything that you wanted to touch on? Any shunning? Any loss? Because I mean, we get to have the full cocktail, right?
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I wasn't like the most popular person. It's not like I had a lot of friends that I lost. I actually really had barely any friends just because my way of thinking was always different. So I was surrounded by all these like girls around my age, but we were like never really truly friends. So it's like when I left, I basically had all these friendships like from all these different kingdom halls for years and years and years, and uh yeah, they just, they don't talk
Just
to me anymore. They don't it's like they know I'm here, they know where I live, and they know I'm pregnant, and they were like, "All right, well, you do your decision, I guess." And that was it. And they don't, and it hurts. And my brother, I have three brothers. One of them died when he was 25 and I was or
mm,
27 and I was 15. And um so yeah, he died. And then my other two brothers knew, like, one almost got baptized but didn't, so he left. And man, my brothers got their own trauma.
yeah.
But I don't really have a close relationship with them either. But so I know they were happy when I told them I left. Um I well, let me see.
I know this maybe could be a tough question, so take
Yeah.
your time if there's really something that's hitting you.
Well, uh when I was really young and I was really like into being a witness, um I used to preach to my dad all the time. And I used to tell him, like, I really want to live forever with you. And I want you to be in my life and I want you to, you know, and it's just so fucking ironic cuz when I decided to leave, he started studying.
Oh,
Wow.
So not only did he study, but I just found out that he just got baptized.
oh my gosh.
So between my parents, the relationship I'm most fond of is with my dad. And I just remember telling him, you're going to get baptized and you're going to have all these people that are going to claim to love you, and you're going to go through everything I've already been through, and you're going to love it, and you're going to feel like you don't need me
Yeah.
and all this other stuff. And I remember he goes, "No, Audrey, you're wrong. I will never let anything get in between my relationship with you." And I remember thinking, "No, that's great, Dad. Like, you keep thinking like that's, I'm really happy." And then all of a sudden it was like no texts, no calls, no visiting. And I remember it was like it happened exactly like I told, like I knew it. I knew it was going to happen, and it just sucked. I mean,
I share your pain.
it
Like,
just
what
feels bad.
if you could encapsulate like some feelings that you have because of this experience with your father? Like, what are some of the thoughts that are going through your mind as you talk about it?
It's just it's a lot of rage. It's a lot of rage, and it's just rage.
Rage.
Yeah.
When it happened with me with some of the loss I've had, it's like, don't you hear me? Don't you see me? That, like, I've lived through this experience. This isn't like I just heard about this through a buddy, or hey, I watched a documentary about this cult. I lived through it. And I'm telling you, like, my thoughts about this experience and how it's going to go for you because I care.
Yeah.
And it's just empty words. And I really feel that's the power of the programming. Like, even for someone older like your father, and it hurts.
In my case, it's a little bit different because my mother is a witness and she's still active, but my mother she's a narcissistic person.
Yeah,
And my dad used to they used to hate each other. Like they talk shit about each other all the time in very inappropriate moments in front of their kids, me and my three brothers. And I just remember and so I feel like now as he's older, I feel like now that they're older, they're like, he might be thinking, well, I've been married to her all these years and I guess the only way to get her back is if I became a witness or something. So I feel like his whole desire to be a witness isn't really for God, because I've been preaching to this man since I was 5.
yeah,
I've been wanting him to have but he wanted to get back together with my mom. And that's his whole ordeal. He wants to look like he's so spiritual and he's changed his life and he's changed his ways. And it's just a very toxic relationship in between them two. And I know that it wasn't because he wanted to be a spiritual man. I
yeah.
know it was because he wanted to do this. And the fact that I showed him that whole the whole video on,
Oh, the Australia Royal Commission.
yeah, I showed him all that and I gave him my experiences, dude, and friggin' a month later I'm finding out he's baptized. I'm like, dude, what the heck? And it's just
That's so frustrating.
so basically that was it. That he never had cared to listen to me preach to him before, or to change his ways of life before. Only whenever he got older and realized that, maybe he's not too young and hot anymore. Maybe he'll have to stick around with this abusive relationship with my mother, that he decided he wanted to be this religious man.
Yeah,
And it just like it sucked that he had to make that decision as I'm leaving. As I
yeah,
don't believe in it anymore. And I just remember having these intense conversations, and I'm like, you don't understand. I've already been through this. I've been raised in it. I can tell you everything in and out. I can tell you how it's going to be the first couple months, the first couple years, how it's going to end maybe. And he just didn't care. He was like, well, Jehovah gave us free will and I'm going to use it to the best of my ability. I'm like, yeah, now that you're older.
yeah.
Now that you're older and you want to look good is whenever you decide to do this. I don't think it's really from your true intentions, but it
It'll be
just
interesting to see how you framed it, because if he did it just kind of for your mom and have a relationship, like, he may not even be fully invested anyways. Like,
yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's not like he's going to be legit and,
Yeah.
be a pioneer and give talks. Like, he'll probably show up, occasionally. But the sad thing from my viewpoint, and maybe this isn't a reality. Again, it's just my viewpoint, and I don't really know you. It's like, I don't know. In my opinion, it's like, dude, he chose to not have you in his life at this point because of this decision. So it's kind of like he's making such a big decision, and it's like you had to choose that route, like, of all routes, to try to be back with your mom. I can see why you'd be full of rage.
Yeah, well, I my relationship with my dad, I'll just give you a quick little backstory. My dad has been a truck driver ever since I was born. And I only ever saw the guy once or twice a month. And I would have full-fledged panic attacks since I was 6, cuz I'd freak out and wonder, and my mom never really cared about us, and she was in her own depressive state and world and narcissistic self, and I just remember finding these do you know those scratch cards to get more minutes on your phone, when it was flip phones? You'd
Hmm.
I remember doing that, and I remember being in the corner and crying and being like, "Hey dad, are you okay? Or don't get into any accidents. I want to see you. I want to see you in 2 weeks." And blah blah. Dude, the relationship I had with my dad growing up was so my dad was my world, man.
Yeah,
And then Okay, so yeah, but the relationship between my mom and my dad was very shitty. You know, they cheat on each other. Just all this shit would happen, and like,
Wait, even as a witness, she would do that?
yeah. I found that out. You know,
Wow.
they all this would happen, and it was just crap. Their whole
Yeah.
relationship as a marriage was really bad, and taught all my brothers about narcissism and abusiveness. And that was actually something my husband had to help me, and was like, hey, you know, your parents' marriage was not normal. This is normal. Like, I'm still, you know, going through that. But
Yeah.
anyways, my relationship with my dad, even though I barely ever saw him, it was like I was a daddy's girl. And and then around the time that I left, which, don't let me forget this. Don't let me forget this. I
Okay.
have to tell you how I got pregnant. That
Okay.
sounds really funny. I mean, we know how it happens, but I have to tell you that. So remind me to go back to that.
Sure.
But I remember I had not like fully fledged, like the announcement hadn't been made that I wasn't a witness anymore. And I remember I found out that I was pregnant, and I wanted my dad to be the first one to know. I
Mm.
invited him to the house, to the apartment, and I had a little pregnancy test and a card, and I had these little booties, and I was like, "Hey dad, I want you to be the first to know this." And I remember it was like I you know, maybe there was a problem with me expecting like a good reaction, like a big reaction, cuz I'm the only girl in the family.
Yeah.
But I like I was at least expecting like happiness and a hug, and he was looking at it. He was looking at it, and he was like, "What? Like, no, no, I'm no, no way, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Yeah, I've been married for almost 7 years. We've been planning this. Like, come on." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you. When are you gonna tell your mom?" And I was like, "What? I don't
Mm.
have a good relationship with mom. You know that." And he was like, "Can I take this pregnancy test to your mom? Can I show your mom?" And I just remember being like, "Dude, this is about me and
Yeah.
my husband, and you're like screwing this all up. Like you're trying to get the person, the most narcissistic, most evil, most shittiest person in my life. You're trying to get them involved in this moment, and it's just ruining everything." And I just remember such a special occasion for me, and my husband was just ruined. Like, he was just so focused on telling my mom, which is the object of his affection, like he's trying to do
Yeah.
everything to look good in front of this woman.
Yeah. He was trying to use your kind of announcement and joy to somehow gain favor with her.
And you know what happened? He told me later that like that exact same morning, like he had stayed the night. I had begged him to stay the night. And the next morning he was like, "All right, I'm going to go and tell your mother." And I'm like, "All right, have at it, cuz she's not going to get the notification from me." And he was, and I, you know, and he never called me and told me her reaction, but I was curious, so I wanted to know. And I was like, "Hey, what was mom's reaction?" And he was like, "Well, she was very solemn, very
Mm.
solemn, and she congratulated me because we're gonna be grandparents again, and yeah, and she gave me a hug and said congratulations." And I just remember, you know, I told Alex, I was like, "She hasn't even called me or told us congratulations. Like, what do you mean?" And then I remember, you know, he got really like he was all absorbed, and he was like, "Oh, don't talk about your mother like that," and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, you know, this is so ridiculous. My mom made a group on Telegram and literally named the group like "taking your mask off." And the group, and then group, my mom wrote like, you know, she had my brothers in this group, my brother's girlfriends in the group, my husband, Alex, or my dad, and she was like, "I want all of us to be genuine in this group, and I want all of us to talk about our feelings and emotions." And I was like, "All right." So in the group, I was like, "Hey guys, I don't think I want to be a witness anymore, and I'm about to have a long meeting with these elders." And I remember my mom like was texting me in private and was like, "What are you doing? what are you doing? We're trying to get your brothers in the truth, not out of the truth. And I
Mm.
was like, didn't you just say this group was to be like genuine and for us to talk about how we have
Yeah.
Yeah, but under her control, under her
right,
paradigm.
right. And I remember like she was like that same weekend that she made that group, like a little bit like before I had told my dad I was pregnant and everything. I remember I was like, hey, do you guys want to hang out at our house? Do you want to go do something? And my mom was like, no, I'm busy. I got crap to do. I have my own life. And then all of a sudden, whenever I made that announcement, she was like, we have to go. We have to talk right now. Where are you right
Mm.
now? I'll pick you up. I'll take you somewhere. I want to know everything. Like, and I'm like, hey, I've already made the decision. You're not going to change my mind. And she just wanted to be in control of everything. Man, she was like, every single thing I would say, she would contradict it, tell me I was wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm young. I'm stupid. Don't believe Audrey. And I just remember thinking, like, dude, why did you create this group if we're not gonna be truthful? You know, like, but that's how my mom is. My mom is a whole different thing. But
Yeah,
she's.
I think we've noticed this trend with people that are coming out of these high control groups or cults is you kind of have this one way that you operate maybe in the kingdom hall and
Mm-hmm.
kind of how you appear to others, and then behind closed doors, with the close family or close friends or whatnot, you really are your true authentic self. And
Yeah.
you realize that a lot of these witness families, there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of dynamics that are not healthy, especially if a parent is the one that's narcissistic or leading the charge. No doubt, Audrey, you had, many, many stories to tell from being a child and being surrounded by that. Um, Gosh, but the thing I think about is I don't know. It goes back to like that mindset of like, but you made it, you're out, and you don't have to be around the control of your mom. And there's some sadness with your father. I guess we'll have to see how that goes. Uh, because that's ongoing. But at the end of the day, like it sounds like Alex is a great dude, and you're gonna have this new place and this new kiddo. Do we know the gender?
Yeah, it's a girl.
Oh, that's exciting. And have we picked out a name and everything?
Yeah, we went through 6,000 names.
Oh my gosh.
And at first Alex was like, hey, I really like the name Violet. I'm like, dude, that's a color. And and he was like, I was like, I really like the name Anastasia. And he's like, that's a princess that got murdered in Russia. I was like, well, what are we gonna agree on then? And anyways, so now her name is Emma Rose.
Oh, that is so cute. I almost named my own daughter Emma.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
Love
really
it.
cute.
Love it. So what else do we have to look for as we kind of look ahead? So you have these exciting things. You're gonna keep telling your story on TikTok.
Any thoughts
Um,
about going back yet?
yeah. It-
No, I was really genuine with the elders. I mean, if at any moment I feel like I made a wrong decision, I'll go back. But I feel like the decision I made was it was the only correct option. I mean, I don't, there have been moments where like, you know, do I think about, like the friends, so friends that I had, and like what would it be like if they knew I was pregnant and how they would react, and if I could count on them to help me in my pregnancy and stuff. Sometimes I think about that, but then I always go back and think about how it's all fake. I mean, it's I love
it's
you
fake.
until,
Yeah.
and then
It's
there's no
conditional.
more. And I don't want that. I want people that like me, that like my weird quirky self. I don't
Yeah.
want people that say, "Hey, I'm only going to be your friend, but if you fuck up, I'm leaving." I don't want that.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy in the decision I made. I mean, if at any point anybody I ever know ever sees this or hears me, I want you to know I'm happy and that Satan's not controlling my life, and all the good things that I have are not blessings from Satan. Like it's just me. It's just me navigating my world that I've never been able to navigate before, and I feel good. And I feel like if there are going to be bad moments, it's not a punishment, or it's
Yeah.
not, it's just life.
That's a real good mindset. That's a real good mindset. I
Yeah.
think, from my experience, maybe Trent has similar echoes, but there's going to be moments. I mean, you're six months out. Like, there's going to be moments, but at the end of the day, for me personally, best decision I ever made to finally break free.
Yeah.
Freedom, as you stated earlier, does mean you surround yourself by terrible people sometimes, but
Yeah.
there was terrible people in the organization. The world gives you everything, the good and the bad, but I'm just so personally grateful to have the choice now to surround myself with people and things and everything, and have the freedom to do so. So yeah, it's no doubt you're going to have that. I would challenge you. I don't think this is going to happen, Audrey, but I would challenge you, if you do ever decide you want to go back, you definitely got to be on the podcast again. If that wildness happens, we're gonna have to have you back to explain
Okay.
the decision why you're going back. Um, but yeah, no, thank you so much for putting yourself out there. Thank you so much for just telling just a portion of your story and kind of your life. And I look forward to continuing to follow you on TikTok, and if we connect on Instagram. Um, it's just always great to see people that have taken a real big leap to just start new. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, the way you carry yourself, you present yourself, the way you talk, there's a lightness, which is great. But at the same time, dude, I know what you went through. I know what you're going through. Um, it's nice that you have some support with Alex. And just know you have support of a big community out there. You're not alone. There's a lot of people out there that are on different phases of that exit journey, the deconstruction, the reconstruction. Um, enjoy the journey. Anything else that you want to close out with, Trent?
No, I want to say thank you. It was awesome to meet you. Like, I came across your some TikTok posts and just knew we had to chat with you. So I'm glad that we got to hear your story. You've been through a lot, and I'm just really glad that you made it out. And it'll be cool to see what you keep doing from here.
And Audrey, anything else that you want to kind of close out with? Any kind of final thoughts for Trent and I, or maybe the listeners?
Yeah. First of all, thank you guys for reaching out and giving me this opportunity. I've never been able to express myself in my own way, and I appreciate this opportunity you both gave me. And yeah, for anybody that's listening, that you are a witness, and you really shouldn't be listening to this, but you are, because you don't want to feel crazy, and you're about to make a very big decision, because most likely this is a huge life changing decision you'll make. You're not alone. You're not crazy. Lightning isn't going to strike you. You're not a horrible person. But it's not wrong to want to navigate life through your own desires and your own wishes, and you're not bad for that, and just know that it's okay. It might not feel okay, but it's going to end good for you. And just trust in your own instincts always.
Yeah, yeah. Following your intuition is huge. Yeah, I think that's not something that we readily used being in the organization. Well, thank you for those words. I know that, like I said, we get messages all the time of people that are listening, and I know when people come across this conversation, I know it'll hit, and people will just be thankful for you to put yourself out there and chat with Trent and I. So we thank you once again. Please keep in touch if you ever, for any reason, feel like you need to come back on. You're always welcome. Thanks for being part of this new community where you're out and you're free to make your own decisions for the good and the bad. And looking forward to see the new kiddo. So congratulations again on all that.
Thank
it's
you.
just going to be great to enjoy all those holidays and just do all of the things that you missed out on with the young one there.
Yeah.
So thank you again, everyone, for listening as well. We really appreciate our listeners. Remember, Trent is just making it happen on TikTok. He is out and about, putting himself out there. So we really appreciate him doing that. I am also running the Instagram account, so I am subtly out there as well. And whenever this does come out, again, thanks for listening and just taking time. Everyone's time's super precious, so we appreciate you spending an hour or so with us when these episodes come out. And yeah, we'll talk with you guys real soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us on this journey in this era. If you found today's episode valuable, please share it with someone who might need it. Check the podcast description for our socials and other information.
Please consider supporting us at Patreon at patreon.com/culturepod. If you'd like to tell your story, please contact us at cult.chur.pod@gmail.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay free.